So this video guide is going to show you how to set up the R20K-L on the AK Partner app so that it will call an indoor monitor. So first thing you need to do is download AK Partner and it's available on either Apple or Android. And once installed, you need to log in using the installer account details that you've been given by your provider. Once they've been added, click Login, and this will be your homepage. So here, if I click single family house, I can see I haven't got any single families actually added at the moment. So I'm going to add my first one, add my first customer, click on the blue plus sign here in the bottom right, and then select single family house. And I'm going to put the name of my customer in here. Room name, I'm going to leave blank. Email, this is normally your customer's email address. Once submitted, it will generate an email with links to download the SmartPlus end user app with their unique login details. You can put your email address in here, and then you'll be able to download the app and test it to make sure it works and familiarize yourself with it. You can then edit that at a later point before you go to install with your customer's email. That will kick you off the system, and it will whoever's email address this is, they will then become the main user or the main resident in that property with the app. Mobile number we can leave blank because we've got an email address, but if you didn't have an email address, you could put a mobile number in here to send a text message with the login details, and then we just need to add the address details. Once all the address details have been completed, the next important thing, or the most important thing here, is to select SIP call. So IP call is if all the devices are connected on the same network, but because we're using a 4G connected device, it's not sitting on the same network as the monitor, so we need to select SIP call and confirm. And then English we can leave the same, time zone we can leave the same. Landline numbers, I'm going to leave those blank, but if you did want to make use of the premium landline calling feature, then you could put the landlines in here that you would want it to be able to call. Premium plan, so this is really important. If you have an indoor monitor and the licenses are being provided free of charge and you're not going to be using the landline calling, then premium plan is off. If you want to use the landline calling, or you don't have a monitor and it's simply going to call the apps are paid for without a monitor, so you'd need to select premium plan on. I've got a monitor in this instance, so I'm going to leave it off. But I do have a monitor, and I'm going to select on, and then it's going to ask me for the details of the indoor monitor. So the first thing I need is the MAC address of the monitor, which can be found on the back of the monitor itself, on the box it came in. It can even be found by going into the settings of the monitor as well. And then the device name, so the room that it's being installed in, or just simply indoor monitor. This is just the name of the monitor. And then these are the relays on the monitor, which we're not using, so we'll leave those off and click submit. So that's now added successfully. Click back, and now I can see my customer under the single family house. So if I click on this, it takes me to the composition or the setup. So I can see the indoor monitor is live, it's online, it's blue. And now I need to add an intercom device. So if I click add intercom device, and then I'm going to need the MAC address of that device as well. Again, that's on the back of the device itself, or on the box that it came in. And then the device name, where is it being installed? So we'll go main gate. I need to change that actually. So the device type needs to be selected to single tenant door phone. Now I can see that it's automatically activated relay 1. If you're just using one relay, then you don't need to do anything else here. You can just submit it. But if you're using 2 relays, then we need to do some changes. So I'm going to use 2, and the first one I'm going to use to open gate. And then access methods. So these are the access methods added from the app which relay they're going to fire in effect. For SmartPlus Homepage for end user and SmartPlus Talking Page and Monitor Page for end user, leave those ticked for all relays that you add. Also leave pin ticked for both relays, and that way the end user, when they set up the app, they'll be able to choose a pin code and assign it to a specific relay. If pin code is deselected from one of the relays, then you won't be able to choose, your end user won't be able to choose specific pin codes for that relay. I'm not going to be using cards or fobs. I'm not using NFC. Now, NFC does work with the R20K-L, but it's blocked by Apple, so it will only work on Android products. So I'm going to deselect that. There's no facial recognition, there's no Bluetooth, and I'm not using license plate or AMPR camera on this either. Once I've set up the first relay, I can select Add Second Relay. And now I want to rename this relay, so I'm going to have this as a latch open stroke close. And then I can leave the SmartPlus Homepage for end user and the other one ticked. I want to leave pin ticked so that they can choose a pin code to activate both relays. And then I'm going to deselect everything else. And then I'm going to click submit. Now, what you might find is that the main gate doesn't come live. And this happens if you've installed the, you installed and plugged in, turned on the intercom before you've added the MAC address to it. You may find that it actually sits under the exception list. There we go. Main gate is offline. So all you need to do is unplug it, let it turn off, and then reboot it again. So that's now powering up. That will take a few seconds. You'll hear a beep when it comes back online. Doesn't take long. There we go. So that's now come on. So if I refresh this, I should find that it disappears. There we go. So that's disappeared from the exception list. And now, there we go. I've just refreshed it, and now the intercom is live. So in terms of setting it up to call, that's all I need to do. If I press the call button on the intercom, that will now call the monitor and any apps that have been downloaded. So if you've added your email address to the app or the resident, you might want to change that before you go to install. So if you click on the resident and then the three buttons up here and click on edit, that will then give you the ability to amend that email address and then click submit. Once the account has been set up and the devices have been added, the first thing you're going to, or we recommend you do, is to make sure the devices are on the latest firmware. So to do that, click on the devices, or click on the customer, take you to the list of devices. Now, so I want to update this indoor monitor. If I click on it and then click upgrade, it will then show me the firmware that I can upgrade to. So I can select it, click next, and then I can either choose a time to upgrade it and click next, or I can click upgrade now. I want to upgrade now, so if I click upgrade now and then submit, that will push the latest firmware update to that device. You need to do that for each device on the system. Now, if I want to update the intercom, if I click on the intercom, click upgrade, I can see different firmwares here. I'm going to choose the most recent one, which will be 11.42. I click on that, select next and upgrade now and submit. Then I've sent the firmware upgrade to that device as well, and then they will download the upgrade, they will install them, and then they will reboot. So now that's set up, although it will call, there might be a couple of changes that you want to make to the intercom and the indoor monitor. Now, if you're familiar with your installer portal and the remote control feature already, then you can remote control into the devices and change any settings that you might want to. The remote control feature doesn't actually exist on the AK Partner app at the moment, but there is a way of changing the settings without having the remote control feature. To use that, use something called one-time auto P. So to access the one-time auto P, click on the device and then click auto P and then one-time auto P. And here you can put in some text. What I'll do is I'll put in the comments the most common things that you might want to change. On the R20K-L, you might want to change it so that out the box, if somebody's putting a PIN number in, it needs to be hash, then the PIN code, and then hash to enter. You might want to remove that leading hash. You might also, if you've set it a latch function, you need to change the relay that you've set to latch so that it's bistable instead of monostable. And I'll put those the text that you can copy and paste into there in the comments or in the bit under this in the video. On the indoor monitor, the only thing you might want to change or probably change is the buttons that appear on the various screens and how they fire the relays. Again, I will put in the comments section how you can just have one button appear on the talking page, on the call preview page, and on the monitor page that says open, and that when you press the button, if there's one relay active, it will just fire that relay. If there are two relays active, then it will bring up the name of the two different relays, and then the end user can choose which one they want to fire. Now I'm going to go through the SmartPlus app, the end user app, and how to set that up. So let's open the app up. And now I've got the login page. So the username will be the email address. And then the password will be in the email that they will have received. So I'm just going to copy that. And then click login. And the first time you log in, you'll be asked to set a PIN code. So I can set a PIN code here. And then under doors, if you've got more than one relay, this is where you can select the relay that's going to activate. So for this one, I just want it to open the gate and then click confirm and then press done. I have to agree a couple of user agreements and privacy policies. And here I can see that I've got the monitor and the call. Now I'm actually set up a slightly different view. So when you set up first time, you'll get this card view. So you'd see the main gate and you'd see the indoor monitor. First thing I'm going to do is set another PIN code for the latch function. So if I click on me and authorization and click door release PIN, I can see the one I've already created. I can now add a second PIN. And then I can select the doors. So I'm going to just choose the latch function and then confirm. So I've now set up two PIN codes, one for the open function relay 1 and one for the latch or close function on relay 2. Now from here as well, when I've clicked on me, I've got the family members option. If I click family members, I can now add members of my family. So members in the household that I want to have the app to be able to create their own PIN code and be able to receive calls. If I click new family, I can put the username. So if I was to say this was person's name and then their email address and click submit, they will then receive the email to download the app with their unique login details, so they can create their own PIN codes, and then they will be able to receive calls from the SmartPlus app. So from the home page, I have the ability to click monitor, and then I'll be able to monitor the intercom, the video feed for 30 seconds. I could call the intercom from here as well. So if I click call, that would actually initiate a call with the intercom. And I could unlock the intercom as well. So if I click the unlock button, then I've got the name of the 2 relays. If I click open,
welcome, please come in,
then that will trigger the relay. I can initiate a call with the indoor monitor here as well if I want to call, say, the kitchen or wherever that might be installed. That's not a problem. And that's really about it. That's a really quick setup of the intercom. Actually, there is another function. You can use TempKeys. So normally TempKeys are sent with a QR code. But if I want to create a temporary key for, say, a dog walker, a cleaner, a temporary member of staff, a friend, a neighbour, then I can do so. So say I want to give access to a cleaner. If I leave repeat mode as never, I can actually choose the number of times that this code will work. And then if I click time, I can choose the time and date range that it will work within. Great for Airbnb guests. And then you don't have to remember to delete the code. It will just stop working once the time and date range has passed. If I wanted that person to have specific times of access all days of the week, then I can choose daily, and then I can choose a time range, and that will give them access 7 days a week and that time range. But for someone like a cleaner, I want them to have access only on specific days, in which case, if I go to weekly, then I can choose the days of the week that they have access to, and then change the time. So I could say, well, let's give them access for a couple of hours, and click submit, and this takes me back here. Now, one thing to remember is doors. Think of doors as relays. At the moment, it's going to select both relays at the same time. Because I've got a latch function, it's going to latch open the gate. So I need to deselect the latch relay. And then I submit, and that creates a QR code. Now, the QR code can't be read on the R20K-L. That's reserved for more advanced intercoms in the range, but it does have a key, and that key can be used as a PIN code. So if I enter that PIN code on the intercom, then it should work. So if I enter the PIN code 95717026 and a hash,
welcome, please come in,
it works as a PIN code, but it will only work between that within the parameters that you've set. If you did want to delete it at all, then you would find it in your list of temp keys. So from here, if you click temp key, you'd see it within the list. And if I wanted to delete that code so it never worked again, click delete, click confirm, and that code will no longer work on the app, or on the intercom, sorry. So from here as well, if I click activities, I'll be able to see time and date stamps of when PIN codes have been entered, or when people have used cards, or when people have fired the relay from the app. You see here, actually, I've got a blue icon. So I've actually got relay monitoring set up on this intercom, so that when the latch function is triggered, I'll be able to tell whether it's that relay is holding the gate open or not. So if I click unlock and then I latch the gate,
welcome, please come in,
and then refresh it, I can now see that that relay is being held open. If I close it again and then refresh the app, that is now set to blue. So that's showing me that the relay is open and the gate or door or whatever is closed. I'll put the code in the description of how to set that up using the one-time auto P. Now from the app as well, if I click on me, if I did have NFC authorized and I was using Android, I could enable that there. Because I'm using an Android simulator, it comes up a bit funny, but if you click that, that will enable NFC on Android devices. Anything else that I might want to do from here? If I go to settings and call settings, out the box as standard, it's set up to a group call. So it will call the monitor and all the apps at the same time, but I might want it to be set to a sequence call. So if I select that, change the call type to a sequence call, and then change the call time to 10 seconds, I could then choose where I want it to call. So that will call the monitor first, and then the resident, and then if you've got other family members, then you could select them, or you could keep it bouncing from one to the other if you wanted to. So that's it. That's a really quick kind of look at how to set up an R20K-L and a monitor on the on using the AK Partner app, and then a quick walkthrough of the end user app so that you're familiar with it. And then when you speak to your customer, you can talk them through the various features that it has. Thank you very much for watching.